Hello
Hi
everybody
everyone,
and welcome back to the Bro and Sis Review. I'm
I'm
Lucy
Cameron.
and for this particular video it is going to be a reaction video rather than a review video, and we are reacting to
But basically to all the announcements that were made at D23 from about around 2 weeks now or so ago. The announcements of films and just projects in general, live action films, Disney films, Pixar films coming from between 2027 to at least 2029 and beyond.
So the next few years.
Yes, well, to cover till the end of the
least.
decade of what's left of, the 2020s. So we can start off with, I guess, starting with, the first few films coming next year.
Yeah.
As that is the most, relevant year next.
So the first film that we're going to start off with is Ice Age Boiling Point, which will be the 6th Ice Age film. That's just really bizarre.
Yeah.
The 6th Ice Age
Yes,
film.
it's going to be the 6th film, although it is being rebranded as under Disney now, as we know Ice Age, because Blue Sky, we know, doesn't, exists now, and they don't have the rights over Ice Age anymore.
Now, obviously, we know this one probably will be a bit mixed at the moment, just because we know especially the last Ice Age didn't do great.
Apparently, though, like with this film, it's may going to involve them going back to the dinosaurs age, from what I could gather. But also, it's got to involve some type of volcano or an eruption, or because surely, if you think of the name, Boiling Point being
obviously
what they're calling this one,
is, like, did we need
the title,
a 6th Ice Age film? I guess that's another big question there.
It is
again, it could
for
be
these characters,
for like the money side of things as well, because Ice Age still made a bit of money.
But we still know, like, that it didn't end off great. Ice Age, Collision Course. The last two films weren't good.
Few didn't do great.
And even like they did like a Buck spin-off film, and that was Disney's first kind of project with Ice Age.
And of course, with that one, it did have a different look, because again, it wasn't like a theatrical film.
No.
And obviously, the animation did look more cheap.
There was cheaper animation, cheaper cuts.
So obviously the execution wasn't as good
for
that one. But at least the good news is that, of course, all the original voices are
the
back
voice cast,
the
original
so
voice
that's
cast.
a relief. So at least, I don't know. I'm not expecting a lot from it, but I'm sure again it's going to grab kids.
It'll get some attention, the odd bit of attention.
But we'll see how it does. But obviously, that's coming out, I believe. Is it?
Because it'll still be 11 years since after the last one, so it's had a gap. But
so that's coming out early next year, I believe.
Yes.
In 2027.
I think by February it's going to be. I think I can't remember exactly the date, but it is February 27 now.
Right. Yeah.
So yes.
Okay, so that's the first film out the way. Now the next one is quite an interesting one, actually, because this is going to be Pixar's first animated film. That's not how you would expect a Pixar film to look like.
No.
So they're breaking new ground here with new animation, 2D style animation.
Well, it's still going to have bits of like CG in there, but mostly it's going to be kept traditional 2D animation on this.
I mean, I have to say, I think it was brave of Pixar to do that, like to try something different, because it's an original film. It's not a sequel. No. It's not a prequel in any way. So hopefully it does well.
It's called Gatto.
Yeah. So we know it's to do with a cat. So we know that.
And I'm assuming it's set in France, I think.
Well, yeah. See, this is it, because we know that Gatto is French for cat. So obviously we don't know too much about it yet, but I'm sure as of next year we'll start to hear a bit more about it. But like I said, the animation wise,
perhaps we'll have to react to a trailer to it by sort of end of the year.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting with that one, but we know it's going to stand out because the animation is going to be different, so that's something.
But yeah, like from the look of the film, it does look like it's going to be really good. I mean, with the animation,
and at least, like we said, it's an original film.
Yeah.
So
finally, and it's breaking a bit of different ground again for Pixar, because even after all these years, and it will help Pixar because they have lost a bit of that.
It's like I
originality.
Said, yeah, that's what I mean. So I really hope that it can do well, this film, because otherwise Pixar you know, they have tended to have problems with their original
But then let's
film
not forget
slightly.
how good Hoppers so actually did end
Yeah,
up doing for this
Hoppers
year
actually did
when that
well.
came out in March. So
Yeah,
it could do well for
yeah.
Gatto,
So you
and with
never
it
know.
looking different
Yeah,
and
yeah.
appealing.
Who knows? So yeah, so that should be coming out in March next
Yes.
year in 27. And so
And next up is then
yes,
going to be a Bluey CG movie
yeah. So
with Bluey and Bingo and
yeah.
Bluey's family.
So with that one, we obviously know that's definitely going to capture like preschool kids and
But we
youngsters.
can't say we're
You
so
know, that's going to
surprised
definitely
because
capture them
with
in.
how they've expanded Bluey and with
Yeah,
how big now Bluey's
Bluey is
become in the
massive
last
now.
couple
Yeah,
years.
like here in the UK, obviously it's an Australian animated
Like, I think you
cartoon.
could even say outside of maybe Paw Patrol, it probably could be
Mm,
the biggest
it's definitely up there
preschool
at
and
the moment.
kids like the
So
early,
there's no wonder that they're
you
doing a
know,
Bluey
that
film.
age.
You know, I mean, they have done like a special episode,
Yes.
haven't they? Which was like was it like a bit longer
I
than
think they've done like what another one like that as
yeah,
well. It's like, well, I think it's episodes, but they're in like a compilation
right.
type thing.
But also, I think with Bluey, I know that it has tackled like some sort of like serious subjects as well, which I think relates
Yeah,
to the
and
parents
that is good to
actually.
have.
Because parents, you know, they'll watch Bluey with their kids,
That's
and
always good to have.
sometimes they can be drawn in more than the kids, but
Yeah.
obviously they know what's going on. But obviously, Bluey's just
But
massive,
then
you know,
if
at the
they think if
moment.
it's a good message for their young kid, you know,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
preschool kids, that
oh
they will
yeah,
get them to
that's
watch
it.
Bluey.
Well, as we know, the whole, you know, it's to make them learn and, you
Yes.
know, and get them captured in with, you know. But it's going to be different animation. It's going to be, is it
I said
CGI?
CG, yeah, it is going to
Yeah,
be in CG, full
yeah,
CG. So
yeah.
it's a different look for Bluey. I mean, I know it will still split some people, but I
Mm,
think it will do well
yeah,
just simply because the name
yeah,
and with it
that's
being
it.
a Bluey,
And again,
Bluey's
yeah,
first
the
theatrical Bluey film, you
merchandise will
know.
do well for that
And
too.
if this film does well, there's a strong chance again it will get a sequel.
Yeah,
It
or
probably will.
maybe like more serious,
Yeah.
possibly
Well,
get
yeah.
green lighted, but
Recommissioned.
who knows? So yeah, that's
Because that's
August
probably, yeah,
27.
going to happen
Yeah,
anyway.
next year that's supposed to be coming out.
Yeah.
Now we are going to be then sort of going into like the later sort of months now of
Well, actually,
2027.
by coming to
Um,
nearly a whole year, September
yeah, so this is literally
2027,
going to be like next year, really, pretty much. So like in a year's
at this
time.
point now.
But this next film obviously is a more bigger deal.
Well, these next
Obviously,
two, we can
it's
say
been speculated
actually.
for a long time, and that is of course the new Simpsons movie that's coming out, which has been long
And
speculated.
that's
Like
the
I
title
said,
of the film, the revealed
so
title.
I mean, how could they not do it like a second Simpsons film after the first? Obviously, that did well. That was successful. Obviously, that was big at the time back in 2007. So 20 years is a big gap, obviously. But obviously, it's going to bring viewers in. Of course, it will because you've got just loads of Simpsons fans out there. And even though, yeah, it's not as great as it has been Simpsons, we know that like so many seasons and years have gone by, but they're still getting the fans in,
I mean,
and you
the
know,
only reveal that they gave for this is that they did show a potential,
yes,
you know,
they
clip,
did
or what could be actually
D23,
in the
yeah,
final film, couldn't it?
yes. So it
In
was
like
more
rough
like yeah, it
arts,
was in like rough,
sketches,
yeah,
a bit more like
yes,
like drawn, hand drawn sketches,
just to
but
give like an idea of what's going to be happening, like
and
with
and
one
because like
scene
it's
of the
always how
film.
it's processed, isn't
Um,
it?
so it does actually show. Well, it's Homer, I guess, who's after
With a
the
lot of the
space
other
ball.
with a lot of
Yeah,
the other Springfield characters,
yeah,
and they're chasing after a baseball which gets hit out of the stadium,
yeah.
but it actually ends up being with Bart by the end
Well,
of
picked
the
up by Bart.
yeah.
So
So
um,
what whether that well that's gonna
yeah,
be in the film, I don't know, but that's obviously what they're hinting at is that
yeah,
is going to be fully animated and that will
yes,
be in the film.
yeah. So
So
that's definitely a big one to look out for next year.
that scene,
Now, of course, like you said, this next film is another big deal.
it
It is,
is.
of course, Frozen 3, which should be coming out in the November of next year. Now, we know Frozen's been a big deal now since the first film, and obviously the merchandise for it is just crazy, like the songs as well. But yeah, it's no wonder that they were going to do a third film, definitely, because it just brings Disney in loads of money, for
Well,
instance,
it has done. I mean, let's be
regardless.
honest, it probably
Um,
has, alongside the Zootropolis
yeah,
films in recent years
but I also like,
or the
even with
last decade.
with Frozen, I think like the voice acting's good in that and the
Maybe
songs.
13, 14 years.
But yeah, so they did show like a proper like clip, didn't they?
Yeah,
Actually, like a
like
teaser
a
sort of
good sort of
clip.
like maybe just under 2 minutes.
Yeah, so didn't give much away, but just enough to sort of maybe try and
To
guess
have an
what was
idea
going
of
on.
what's going to happen.
So obviously you've had Elsa and Anna involved,
Yeah,
Kristoff and Sven, and that's what we do. But what we do know for sure is that, of course, Anna, of course, gets married
yeah,
to
yeah,
Kristoff. We knew that from like the second film. Um, but then it seems to me it looks like Elsa may have like another rival coming in here, like
yeah.
another villain perhaps coming in, but we don't know as much yet to
No,
know. But it just seems like Elsa's capturing this thing that's like flying around and a
it's
bit,
going to lead to
yeah,
something anyway for the film.
yeah. So that's definitely going to be a big deal.
And
Um,
also that Olaf is going to get a new
yes,
love
apparently.
interest
Now,
for
of course,
him.
Olaf we know is like a fan favorite of the Frozen films. We know that, so it might be a bit of a nice little story for him in
Yeah,
there as well as like
because I guess you
Elsa and
still got to try
Anna,
and
and
give him something to have,
yeah,
in the
just that
film.
side plot
Yeah,
maybe. But yeah, that I mean definitely,
and for the comedy
yeah,
aspect to the
yeah.
film
So that one will definitely be a huge
and the
one,
charm.
definitely for next year. Especially now with that clip that's been shown, people
Mm.
are definitely having their thoughts on that. And but now we are going to go into 2 years' time now, 2028. Starting off with, I guess, is it Tangled, the live action remake
Yes,
of
in for
Tangled?
March.
Apparently, yes, set for March of 28. So that should be interesting. Now, obviously, the Tangled, the animation one back in 2010, did really
It
well.
did, yeah. It was a
Um,
strong showing for Disney,
well, it
actually.
gave
That
Disney
did
that
do good,
boost
yeah.
that they
It's what
needed at
boomed
the
them a
time
bit.
because they were struggling a bit still at that
It's what got them
time.
basically into the 2010s,
Yeah, they
decade.
weren't at their
But I know they
best
still have,
at
the Winnie
all.
the Pooh film that came the year
Mm,
after, but
yes,
it still is what kicked things off in
yeah.
that way.
Now, whether it's going to be an exact copy of the animated film, we'll have to see. But as we do know, with the Snow White film, of course, in 2025 last year that bombed. Obviously, there's a bit of a risk involved
And then I
there.
was going to
You
say,
know,
we had Moana that came out
yeah,
this year.
recently,
That had a bit of
yes,
mixed reactions, and it
mixed,
was more on the
yeah.
lower on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
But
so this will be an interesting one. I think people will have high expectations. Of course, it will, because it's like another live action remake. So
well,
there's
yeah,
loads of these that have been done now. So it just, are people getting a bit tired of these live action remakes? But if it's Tangled, it might do well. It might bring the viewers in. Who knows? So maybe we'll have to stay tuned for that one. Now, there's another film I've heard that's coming out, which seems quite interesting, that you actually brought up, and
yeah.
that is Ghost Market, which is also due to come out the same year, 2028. Cameron, could you elaborate more on that one?
So I think it's meant to be about like a streamer or like this teenage boy who's a streamer, like on social media and all that, and
Right.
he ends up, because I think he's going to stay with somebody. I think it might be his grandma, so he's like traveling on his own,
Yeah.
and he ends up going to this market as he's doing that. But then it ends up being like a ghost market. I think he eats something there, and
Mm,
and
okay.
um, and yeah, I don't quite know where it's supposed to be set, but it's meant to be Asia, like somewhere like that.
Okay.
Um, I think so. Again, we'll look up the details,
Yeah, it's
or
still
Lucy
early
might do,
days with that.
but
Yes, but that does sound interesting. Again, it will
perhaps
be,
if we find any of
you
that, we'll
know,
let you know.
it will be an original film, I
Yeah,
suppose. So it's not a sequel or a
it
prequel.
is
So that's
Walt
good
Disney
news.
film.
Yeah. So whether that's going to lift Disney a bit, hopefully it does, with it
Yeah,
being an original film. Um. So yeah, interesting. It's not been done before, of course. Like
a
you get
different concept, and I
so,
suppose,
yeah,
and they're having it being modern because of with it
this
being,
day and age
yeah,
and this generation, obviously, got social media involved.
well, yeah.
Yeah, you could see that.
So next,
Yeah, now this is definitely another big one here, which well I'm quite looking forward to, and that is of course Lilo and Stitch 2, which should be coming out of the May of 28. Now we of course the first one actually the live action remake did really well. So
It did do
you know,
strongly.
again, it's no wonder they're bringing a sequel. But this one will be interesting because they're actually bringing Angel, I think, into this,
Yes.
who, of course, the Stitch's love interest, like back in more like the series. If you remember the animated series from like the sort of like early to mid 2000s. Yeah, um, but that'll be interesting because again, it might bring more personality out there for Stitch. Lilo, we're not too sure how
No.
she'll fit in, but it's a second film. It should be good. Fingers crossed for that one. But I
Yeah.
am actually, yeah, getting quite, yeah.
We just don't quite know. But I'm also going to
I got
assume
my
that I
thoughts.
could assume it might involve Jumba, seeming that Jumba we
Yeah.
know in the series, with the experiments.
Now, obviously, we know they can't do a lot, can they, with like when it comes to like the alien
No,
characters? Because
well,
again,
they had the
CGI.
problem with that,
Yeah,
didn't
it is
they?
difficult, I guess, to get them exactly right, like the
With Peakley
animated
and Jumbo, it
one.
did in that live action
Yeah,
last year.
exactly. But we'll see. And like we don't know if Nani, comes back because we know what happened in the first one. Obviously, she went away to was it uni
I think
to
so,
study?
yeah.
Yeah. So we
But
don't
then
know
there
what
was a
happened
way where
there.
Lilo could sort of visit Nanny through was it teleporting or through a
Yeah,
ray gun?
something like that.
So
But so yeah, we'll wait and see with that one. So that's a big deal. And of course, this one is wow. We know that this one definitely it's
we'll
already got
has had people
a
talk.
lot of speculation, and it
Maybe good and bad
yes,
things about it,
and that
but
is of course Incredibles 3. Now we know this one, regardless, will still bring in the money. I would have
well, yeah,
thought
well,
because it's
regardless,
Incredibles,
yeah.
and we know how well the first film, as we know, did really well, very successful. The second, it did well at the box office. We know that, it brought the viewers in. I think people might have been little bit not as good as the first, but it still brought in a lot of money. I
Yeah,
guess still did well.
still strong enough.
Um, but I believe with this third film, I believe it's centered around the kids. So like
Oh, well, it's going
Violet,
to center on the
Dash,
kids, yeah,
Jack. That's
in the
interesting
premises
actually.
of the plot.
So we know they're not being aged up. They're going to stay the same because that was a bit of speculation there as well. I think for a while.
But as well as
You
that, they're
know.
also going to sort of touch back onto Bob a little bit as well
Yeah.
in this film,
Yeah.
what he's going
This is
through
it.
now.
Yes.
Because with him, because we know, like in the first film, he was going through a midlife
Yeah.
crisis.
And I suppose, well, as we also heard, there's going to be a new villain, a tough
Yeah,
villain
and it's going to
actually,
be the
very,
toughest
very
villain
tough.
apparently than whatever they've come up against before with
Yeah.
Syndrome and the Screenslaver in the other films.
I definitely think it's probably about time. Actually, I think that Violet, Dash, and Jack got a big part because
and
they're
more centre stage.
yeah. I mean, they're the kids. I mean, we've had sort of Bob's like moments in the first film. You had like Helen, like Elastigirl, in the second.
Yeah.
So now I think they thought, yeah, let's center it around the youngsters now. So let's see how that goes. It might be interesting. It sounds like what Pete Doctor mentioned. It
Well,
sounded
either
quite a
way,
good plot.
and Edna's going to be in the film too, Frozo, and they're still going to be the same type of characters.
Very interesting. So that's probably again another big one.
And it's coming out my
for
birthday,
me.
the 16th of June, 2028.
Yeah, so that's going to be a massive hit for the summer, I would have thought,
yeah,
for that.
it will. It will do well.
So now we are going in 2029. So this is like 3 years now we're going into. They have revealed that Coco 2 is going to be coming out.
It's coming to us.
Yes. Now, they sort of showed sort of little bits of that, like early sketches, was it, or designs?
I think it was more just like the designs and the look for Miguel for the film.
From what we know,
because Miguel is going to go through a change. The age,
aged him up, so which is probably
so it could be
obvious.
Up to about maybe 14, 15, maybe.
Yes. And again, obviously, we got the villains coming back in that also from the first film. So that'll be interesting because we know the first Coco film did really well actually because again it was an original film, and I think they needed to lift a bit Pixar again at that point maybe.
Yeah.
And I think it did that at the time. So it'll be very interesting.
And it's a vibrant film, Coco.
Yeah.
You know, the Latin American
Yeah, it
culture
wasn't done
that
before,
that it had.
so it's good that
So
they're bringing that back again.
yeah,
I think.
definitely. And Mama Coco's also going to apparently have a reunion with possibly
Well, in the afterlife,
with
possibly.
Miguel. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yes, definitely.
the plot details are still a little bit, you know,
Yeah, we
not
still
too
don't know
much
enough.
on, but we just know that
Yeah,
Philip is going to come back to get Miguel, so that will be interesting
yeah,
from the first one. I think it's Dela Cruz, but
yeah.
yeah, his name was.
And of course, the last thing that we will mention, obviously, it's still to be
There's not a
announced,
date on it yet,
but they did announce at the
but it is going to
D23
happen.
there is going to be, well, a Zootropolis 3.
Yes.
Yep, you've heard that, folks. A
With
third film
birds
is
being
coming out.
involved.
Birds are going to be involved. Obviously, we had snakes in the
Because
second
on the actual
film
logo, it
coming
had a
in.
bird as the three, like
Yes.
feathers.
Yeah, because if you remember from the end of the second film, it did actually show that clue, like that there was going to be another film. We know that, like a teaser.
And how could there
You
not
know.
be when, you know, it was the highest grossing film of all
Yeah, but
time
obviously, like the
for
feathers,
Disney?
obviously it does give
How
it
could it
away.
not be?
Like it's obviously going to be to do with birds of some kind, but yeah, that'll definitely bring in probably the money because we know the second film just blew Disney out.
It went crazy.
Yeah, it really
Wow,
did.
just really
I mean, the
crazy.
first film
Beyond
was just
crazy
successful enough, but the second just did even better. You
with
know,
how it had
beyond
performed and
expectations. I
yeah,
don't think
the
they were expecting it
expectations,
to do
yeah.
so well, and it, it just, gosh, it just blew
It blew
everybody.
everything
Yeah,
away.
blew everyone
And
away.
that's a big thing because Disney's had so many, you know,
Yes,
incredible films, but it goes
exactly.
to show how
Yeah,
successful that did
yeah.
last year.
So yeah, they're basically everything we know really so far that was revealed. So yeah, Cameron, what are you more looking forward to?
I think, well, I think from this, I probably will go with, you know, Zootropolis 3, but also I think just with the new Simpsons movie, but even Gatto maybe as well could be an interesting one if they get that, you know, right. And I think, you know, Pixar can do to make that feel different to other Pixar films, because I think that's, again, it's something different that Pixar have needed to try and still keep themselves being, you know, different.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm going to go them three films: Zootropolis 3, the new Simpsons movie, but that's more just because, again, it's been 20 years, but
huge gap.
and also with Gatto, just with Gatto, you know. So yeah.
Okay. So
and how for you? Well, you can say what you think.
Well, I sort of might have just briefly mentioned it before, but I think Lilo and Stitch 2, I'm quite interested in, just to see how that goes, and like, with Angel coming in and things like that, and maybe Stitch might get a bit more of a role in that, possibly. Who knows?
A different role, but he'll have a role.
I'm curious to see like what story she'll have, or how she's going to go
how she's
about
connected to the story.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Incredibles 3, that's a big one as well. I did like to hear the plot that what Pete Docter did explain. So,
I just didn't want to say Incredibles 3 because I just know a lot of people are going to be probably saying Incredibles 3.
But that's what I'm perhaps looking forward to the most. Obviously, the Simpsons movie again, but that's more because of speculation as well, because of like how many years, like you've said as well. So I don't think we'll be alone on that one. But yeah,
obviously, we know it'll look a lot more updated.
Yeah,
but
yeah. And that's it, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this reaction video. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
And we'll be back for another review very soon.
Yes.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.